Today is gonna basically be a piggyback off of what Gwenna did with the CPAs last week. And well, hold on. So Gwenna last week did hers on the breastfed hospitalized infants because there's been a lot of confusion with how to do them and what to do with them and if we can do them on both sides, on the clerical and the CPA end. So that's what we're going to do, and then we'll end it up with just a couple of scenarios, changing like food packages from like exclusive to mostly or mostly to some and back and forth. And that's just because the procedures manual has... You guys need to mute your mic and Carol. You guys have, in the procedures manual, there's a section about changing the packages, but since we switched... Yeah?
I need to ask Caroline something. Caroline.
Yes, ma'am.
They're saying that Fayette, they're ringing them and they're not answering.
Fayette should be auto answer because it's a conference room. Are they doing with conference? There you go.
Okay, she said they're connected now. Okay, thank you.
Hey, Susan?
Yes.
I text Frida, but I don't have Cynthia or Karen on.
They're connecting them too. There was a whole bunch of them they had to connect. Actually, it should be Fayette, Butts, Pike, and Greenville. You'll need to check and see it. Are you guys on yet?
Kasey, I'm on now. This is Pike. I'm on.
I heard
This is
Karen.
Cynthia.
Was that also
I'm on.
Cynthia?
Yes, I'm on now.
Okay.
So we're still waiting on Fayette?
No, I saw Fayette. I saw Jackie.
But they got disconnected.
We're
Are they back up? Okay. And what about Butts?
I'm here, Susan.
Okay. I'll be right back.
Danielle, does yours work now where you can actually see us, or are you still having to do, like, voice in?
I can see you now.
Okay. All right, so what I was just saying briefly is Gwenna last week did hers on the breastfed hospitalized infants, so we're going to piggyback on that, and then we'll talk about some food package changes. Like, the procedures manual has a section in there which is supposed to be a shortcut where you can just say, okay, I've got this voucher and this voucher back, and it'll literally say, yes, you can make a change, no, you can't, and it tells you what to give. But the problem is when they change the standard packages to the no cheese and the more milk, all of those voucher codes, they're not any help anymore. So I was just going to share my ghetto-rigged way of doing it myself. If it works for you, it works, and if it doesn't, that's okay. But it works for me. So I was going to share that at the end. So let's go ahead and get started. All right. And just if I can get one person to tell me if you can see that or not.
We can see it, Kasey.
We can see
Okay,
it.
cool.
See it.
You know, I have issues like every week, so. All right. So I put the mission of WIC in there, but we're not going to read it out loud this time. We'll do that next time. And then objectives today, we'll review the policy for certifications of breastfeeding mothers, and then we'll review some basics of food package changes between exclusive, mostly, and some. This is just about physical presence. So under normal circumstances, physical presence is a requirement to participate in the program. And then without physical presence, the client is required to bring in documentation. Documentation is the Form 2. Throughout the presentation, it's going to be referred to as MDF2, but that would be the Form 2. And, you know, we have two forms for some of you newer clerks. Form 1 is the one that the people bring in their prescriptions for formula. Form 2 is the one that has measurements on it, like referral data. So normally when a client cannot be physically present, they're like medically fragile is usually the reason, then they are required to have documentation. And then the clinic is also required to have approval from a manager in order to do physical presence as no. The exception to this is going to be your breastfeeding hospitalized infants. So this is a situation where mom is breastfeeding and her baby is still in the hospital in NICU for whatever reason, premature or breathing issues, heart condition, whatever the situation may be, baby has not been discharged yet. And we are allowed to certify mom and baby even though the baby has not been discharged and baby will not be physically present. This just happened with the last procedures manual change, so it's still considered to me, I think, new, and it's very vague to me. The rule is kind of vague, and I don't know with the new procedures manual if they've made any adjustments to that, but for right now it's very open and free, and so yes, you can do these babies without physical presence. This situation is the only exception to the physical presence rule. The requirements for certifying this breastfed hospitalized infant is that mom must be breastfeeding. So that means some, mostly, or exclusive, but the difference is she's going to be classified as exclusively breastfeeding for certification processes. So, purposes. So, really, you just need to know that she's breastfeeding. And I don't know, Carol, are you on? Carol?
Yes. Hey, Kasey, I'm here.
I don't know if this is where you wanted to add your part or not.
I don't have a big part except to say, just remember that for these moms, breastfeeding is going to be defined as providing breast milk for the baby. The mom's going to be pumping. So I just want everybody to, you can't ask the mom, are you breastfeeding? Because she'll probably say no. But they're providing breast milk for the baby with a pump, most of them. Is there anything else I need to clarify about it?
No, I think that's good.
Okay.
Yeah. And then when these moms come in, they will be certified and be receiving the food package W41, which is the exclusively breastfeeding package. The infant must still be in the hospital, and the infant receives a tracking voucher of a $2.90. Now, a normal exclusively breastfed baby gets an EOO, and that's also a tracking voucher for an exclusively breastfed baby. The difference with the $2.90 is that food package automatically tells us this is a NICU baby. It's a hospitalized infant. Under no circumstances can an infant that is still in the hospital receive formula from the WIC program. That's why even if she's a some or a mostly, she's going to get that tracking voucher. She's absolutely not receiving any formula from the program. That's also why you're not allowed to do the non-breastfed hospitalized babies. They're not receiving any formula from the program. That's why you don't even put those babies on until they can physically come into the clinic.
Kasey.
Yes.
Okay.
Hey, Cynthia.
The full package, $2.90. Is there any other circumstances the CPA can use that $2.90?
It is only for the hospitalized breastfed infants.
Okay, I think
that package is only for them.
Okay, let's get some clarification with the CPA because I think I remember one situation just recently where the mom came in and she's exclusively breastfeeding a 6-month-old, and she didn't want any foods for the baby, and I think the $2.90 was issued.
Okay.
Is there another food package the CPA need to use instead of that, or we have to create a 999?
If the mom, there's a situation where the mom like let's say she absolutely has to have Similac Advanced, for example, and she won't try anything else, or she has tried anything else, and she swears up and down by Similac Advanced. We obviously don't issue Similac Advanced or Similac, whatever it is, Similac Sensitive, something that we can't issue even with a prescription. She can still have the baby on the program, and there is a tracking voucher for that. We have a $9.99, but there's also
It's a 999-059 for no formula. But that's
for no formula. It's the $9.99 sub.
that's the one for no.
I don't know what the sub number is, but it has a tracking voucher of the 059 in it. And then also in August, for the babies that just want to get baby food, there's a package for that too, but I'll have to look that one up because I have it in that other room.
I'll look at it.
You want to look it up? In August, they did add that food package where she could just get the baby food from us, and then we wouldn't issue formula, but the baby would still be on the program.
So, Kasey, what you're telling them is that you can only use $2.90 if it's an exclusively breastfed baby.
Still in the hospital.
That's still in the
Hospitalized.
hospital. That's right.
Hospitalized, yeah.
So
And
don't
I
use the $2.90 for anything else but that.
Right.
Does everybody understand that?
Now, there also is a situation where like mom did have like a breastfed hospitalized infant, and before the baby gets discharged, she changes to non-breastfeeding. In that situation, the baby would still stay on the $2.90 because they can't get formula, still being in the hospital. But they started out as a breastfed hospitalized infant. So that, if you look at that as an exception, that would be an exception. But that baby wouldn't start out as a non-breastfed infant in the hospital because you can't put those babies on. Does that clear up anything?
Yes, but we also need them to know, because I'm getting texts. The CPAs were given this information last Tuesday, so they all should know this as well. If they're telling you any differently, then they need to re-video or re-watch the training from last Tuesday.
And then on methods, so basically what would happen is mom would call to make her mom and baby appointment, and then the call center, they can ask her to bring in the Form 2, that's the MDF-2, or she is allowed to bring measurements on a prescription pad or some sort of doctor or hospital letterhead. A lot of the NICUs have their own pre-printed letter that they'll print out for the mom. It's preferred that she brings the Form 2, but I just want you to know that it's not a requirement. It's not like the other physical presence where she has to have the measurements on the Form 2. So she's allowed to bring basically any documentation in, but I want you to know, and that's the third bullet, that if she does not bring in documentation, she is allowed to self-declare her baby's measurements during her visit with the CPA. So she shouldn't be turned away under any circumstances. Baby should still be certified, mom would be certified, and then she can self-declare those measurements. Now, what they discussed in the meeting, because we basically came up with a district policy, what they discussed last week is if she does not bring in that documentation on the MDF-2 or on another doctor or like medical pad, then we'll certify the mom and the baby. We'll give her 30 days worth of vouchers, and then she'll need to provide the documentation next month. So if we're allowing her to self-declare her measurements, she still needs to come in the following month and bring in those the MDF-2. I suggested it's a good idea when those mamas come in to go ahead and give them a blank MDF-2 and just stick it in their WIC folder, because they're going to be constantly going up to visit that baby. So, at any point that they visit the baby at the hospital, they can get it filled out. And, the MDF is good for 30 days. So, she could go visit that baby the day after she visits you, and it's still going to be good in her next appointment. If the mom does have the documentation, she's going to be brought back for her NHRN in 60 to 90 days, but it depends on the CPA's discretion because they'll be the ones telling you when to schedule that NHRN. And if the baby is still hospitalized at the time of the HRN, then mom will need to provide an MDF2 with the updated measurements. And that's why I said, just if she comes in for that certification, just stick her a little blank one in there so she has it and she can provide it to the hospital to have it filled out. Infant proof of ID, typically under normal circumstances, you're going to be using a confirmation of birth or discharge papers, hospital bracelets, birth certificate, or social security card. The hospitalized infants, though, they're not going to typically have any of the first three. The hospital bracelets are still on them. They haven't been discharged, so they're not going to have discharge papers. And usually some hospitals don't even do confirmation of birth, but the ones that do will typically do it as part of the discharge process. So those infants aren't going to have any of those. And of course, the birth certificate will take a little time to get, and the social security card will come in the mail. So a lot of times these hospitalized infants, when they come in, they don't have documentation of proof of ID at the time of the certification, and you would have to pen them. But in August, the state came back and said that there is an exception to the rule of proof of ID for infants, and if the mama has the Form 2, you can use that as proof of ID for the infant. This is the only time that you're allowed to use a Form 2 as proof of ID, is for a hospitalized breastfed infant that's being certified. Any questions up to that point?
Kasey, that
Yes.
form MDF2, does it have to be filled out by a doctor and signed by a doctor, or can mom fill it out and bring it in and it still be used as proof?
No, it has to be, the regular requirements for the Form 2 would apply if you're going to use that. So it would have to be, I don't know, it's like doctor or nurse practitioner.
Yeah, nurse practitioner, P&P. I mean, there's a couple of them. They're usually listed at the bottom.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Good question. All right, so with the 30-day pending, so let's say she doesn't bring you one of the already acceptable proofs of ID, and she doesn't bring you the Form 2 at the time of the initial cert. So you would just follow your 30-day procedure as normal. She would have self-declared her measurements with the CPA in the back. You would have penned her. She comes back in 30 days with an acceptable proof of ID. At this point, it's she's going to need to bring the Form 2 with her updated measurements for the CPA, but it is preferred at that time that she brings one of the regular proofs of ID, because by then she should have had a chance to either pick up the birth certificate or have received the social. So, I was in a situation, I think it was in Fayette, and mom actually had the social. Then I would use the social. If she's got it, then use it. Okay, so what if the mom stops breastfeeding before baby is discharged? So the CPA will continue to use the 290 food package while the baby is still in the hospital, but the CPA will need to update the infant's feeding type to match the mom. So, your dyads always have to match. If you have a breastfed mom, you have to have a breastfed baby. If you have a non-breastfed mom, then you don't have a breastfed baby. I don't know if everybody knows, but those kick back on a report every month, and I work on those, and I'll show you a little data later down in the presentation. So the CPA will update mom's food package to reflect the new feeding type, and this example would be she goes to non-breastfeeding, because regardless if she says, well, I was doing nothing but breast milk, but now the hospital is supplementing, then you wouldn't need to make a change, because she should have been classified as exclusive while the baby's in the hospital anyway. So the CPA wouldn't be making a food package change in that situation, and this would really only be if she goes to non. And I just want to remind the clerks, send UTADs. I'm seeing a lot of food package changes. CPAs are doing their part, they're doing the work, and then we're not sending the UTADs. Or we send a UTAD on baby, we don't send one on mom, and then all that work is kind of in vain, because you're not sending that updated information to Covansis, and all it does is kick it back on a report back to us. So what if baby is discharged before the next visit and mom is no longer breastfeeding? I just read that and it didn't even click. Babies discharged before the next visit, mom's no longer breastfeeding. So CPA will do a food package change to update the mama and the baby. Don't forget to send your U tags. And then you have to be careful that mom understands the food package change process, because it's just like any other time. If she's used a certain number of vouchers in that issue month, you can't just give her formula. So it's going to depend on what she used and what she didn't use, and that's what we'll hit at the end of the presentation.
Kasey, can I say
Yes.
something? I
Yes.
just want to remind y'all, if a mom comes in like that to change her food package, typically these moms have our very expensive pump. So please, please ask for these pumps. The pumps have to come back, and if the mom doesn't bring the pump back, don't give her vouchers for more than 30 days. Okay, and then let us know so that we can, continue to track the pump and stay in touch with her. But
yeah, that's really important, and you should see there's like an alert. They'll say something about mom has been issued a Symphony or mom's been issued a Lactina. There should be a note, an alert in there, so you'll know without even looking at the chart that mom has been issued a pump. And then what if baby is still not discharged at the time of the mid-cert? Now this should be a rare circumstance, but it is possible, especially, you're seeing more babies now that are born at 26 weeks and survive. Well, those infants are going to be in the NICU long term. So it is possible to have a baby that's still in the NICU at the age of 6 months. So at that time, your normal procedure for physical presence will apply, where she has to provide documentation from the physician. She has to have the current MDF2. All of the regular rules for physical presence will apply at that point. And again, you have to have approval for those types of situations. Do we have any questions up to this point? All right, so just a little note about dyads. When baby is discharged, mom needs to come in, and both food packages would need to be reevaluated. At this time, mom, she might be exclusive, she might be mostly, or she might be some, or she could go to non-breastfeeding and be a fully formula fed. So the feeding types between the mom and the infant need to be reassessed, and they need to always match. And like I said before, what will happen if they don't match is it kicks back either as an incomplete dyad or a mismatched dyad. I tried to make this as big as I could with getting the data in. So this just shows you, and Julie's done a really good job with this, but basically, let me just give you some numbers. So across the top is your clinics. This was for November report, which came out in December. December report comes out in January. The total is the number of dyads for the clinic. That's the very first column. Can you see right up here? If you see where my arrow is. So that's the number of total dyads for each clinic, breastfeeding dyads. The next column, the MM, means mismatched. So that means that you had an infant says mostly, but the mom still says exclusive. Or baby got switched to F for fully, but mom is still on as mostly. So basically their feeding types mismatch between the two of them. So we know that they're linked, but they don't match. And this is the number going across of how many mismatch each clinic had in the month of November. The next column, or row, down is going to be your incomplete dyads. That would be situations where you put the baby and the mom on, but maybe when you did mom certification, you put the wrong infant. I've been seeing a lot of those. You're typing either in the wrong infant's WIC ID or you're choosing the wrong sibling, like an older sibling. And that'll happen. Or sometimes an incomplete dyad is the mom got switched to fully and the baby didn't. It's kind of the reverse of the mismatched. And then we broke it down into how many were clerical cause errors. That would be like not sending UTADs or not putting in the right WIC ID for the infant. And then the next column down, the CPA, that would be CPAs who changed baby but didn't change mom, or vice versa. It is possible to have mismatched or incomplete dyads that weren't clerically or CPA caused. So that's why, like if you look at butts, for example, between the mismatch and the incomplete, that would have been 6 dyads. But between clerk and CPA, I'm looking in this first column right here, there's actually only 5. That means one of those dyads could have been that the baby's already turned a year, and so it couldn't be fixed anyway at this point. Or what I've noticed now is baby will transfer. Baby was breastfeeding in your clinic, and then they transferred to another clinic, but when they transferred into the other clinic for the mid-cert, they decided at the mid, they said, oh, no, I'm not breastfeeding anymore. Well, we still have the mom in our clinic as a breastfed mom, but the baby has been transferred into another clinic as a fully formula-fed baby. That's nobody's fault. It's just like a system glitch. They're not going to transfer a mom in at the mid-cert that's not a breastfed mom. You wouldn't do that because you're thinking, well, she's termed. But in our clinic, she's not termed. So things like that, it wouldn't be anybody's fault per se. If you notice, though, overall, it looks to me like the CPAs are doing a pretty good job updating the food package changes, matching the feeding types. We're just not sending the UTADs like we need to. Anytime you have an infant, even if it's at the mid-cert or whatever, you should always look at the mom and make sure that you're sending the UTADs at every food package change. You should always be thinking of any mom and baby as a dyad, and that way I think you'll reduce some of the errors. And then you see, good job, Lamar, 0. No dyad mismatches. All right, so we're going to do case study number 1. I took these from Jessica. I'm not going to take credit for these. I stole them, but I thought they were really good. So case study 1, we're going to give that to Region A, and I'll give you a moment. But basically, mom comes into the clinic for her mom and baby appointment. She doesn't have the baby with her. She does bring the Form 2 from the doctor. She states the baby was born a month early, has not been released from the hospital. She thinks she'll go home within the next month. Mom is pumping. She already has a pump. She's bringing the breast milk to the hospital. So for Region A, the question is, would you certify mom and baby in this situation? And if so, when do you bring mom and baby back? Region A.
In the months, we reserve mom and baby. We put it in the
All right, I'll do it.
never mind.
Sorry, Paulina, I forgot you're in Region A. That's my bad. My bad.
Okay. Just certify mom and baby, put it in the package, $290, the nutritionist, and bring it back in a month for asking for that paperwork.
Paulina said that you would certify mom and baby, which is correct. And then she said, the CPA will issue the $290. She's saying bring them back in a month with the MDF2, but actually at this point, since she does have the MDF2 at the time of the appointment, it'll actually be the CPA's discretion if she wants to do a 60-day NHRN. And usually I'm saying 60 days more than a 90-day on these. So it'll just be for usually an HRN, and it'll just be when the CPA decides to bring her back. Region B, you'll have the next one. Mom comes into the clinic for the mom and baby appointment. She does not have baby or any documentation. Baby was born around 26 weeks gestation, will be in the hospital until baby reaches her due date. She does provide breast milk to the hospital for feeding. So Region B, do you certify mom and baby?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And when would she, oh, go ahead, sorry.
Is it off?
When would she come back?
30 days.
Right, and the reason is because she didn't have any documentation, so she'll need to bring that MDF2 back in. region don't have a C, so this will be anybody.
It can be the district office.
Oh, okay. Mom comes into the clinic for mom and baby appointment. She does not have baby with her. She brings a letter from the hospital and letterhead stating infant was born at 32 weeks and should not attend WIC appointments. Letter has all of baby's measurements. Mom does provide breast milk, but she also receives some formula. She thinks baby will be in the hospital about 2 weeks. So do you certify mom and baby?
One of y'all go ahead.
I think it's yes. Go ahead. Yes.
I heard a yes. It's yes. And then, again, this one will be based on the CPA's discretion for an HRN when she decides to bring them back in. And then the last one, we'll leave that for D. Mom comes into clinic for mom and baby appointment. She does not have baby with her or any documentation. She states baby is born at 36 weeks. Baby is still in the hospital. She's not breastfeeding. Baby's on a special formula. She doesn't know the name, which happens. Mom is not sure when baby will be discharged. Do mom and baby get certified?
No.
Correct. Keyword there, she's not breastfeeding. So physical presence would still be a requirement, like the normal physical presence. And then, of course, she would have to have documentation for that. All right, so we're going to talk about food package changes. I have another document that I'm going to open up. I sent it to you. If you printed one of them out, it'll make this probably easier, but I just listed these so you'd have them. These are the voucher codes that go with the standard food packages, and you should be familiar with your standard food packages. And if you're not sure what your standard food packages are, you've got them right here for exclusively breastfed, mostly breastfed, and some. I just put a note that the prenatal package is the same as the mostly, and the non-breastfed package is the same as the some. That doesn't mean, though, that if baby is getting a full formula package and mom is some breastfeeding, they both still need to be matched as a some dyad. I have had actually some CPAs mention, well, she's already getting a full package, so why do I need to change it? Because it needs to match the mama, and it makes my life easier. Okay.
No question asked.
All right. Let me go to... Let's see. No, because I'm gonna go backwards for just a moment. All right. Before we go into the food package changes, I just want to remind you the district policy. I included that in the email. You're going to want to print a copy of that, stick it in that district policy notebook. And it was emailed with today's presentation. If for some reason you don't have it or you don't know which document I'm talking about, it looks like this. And it says District 4 Breastfeeding Infant in the Hospital Policy. And so you'll print that out. I think it's 2 pages. Yeah, print that out and stick it in your notebook. And then I have another document. This is the other document that I printed out, and this is what I'm going to use. Now, I don't want you to think that this is the way I do it. I don't color code while I'm doing food package changes, but I'm going to do it this way because I didn't know how else to cross things out and physically show you since we're not all in the same room. But we're going to use this. If you've printed this out, it'll make it a lot easier. And... okay, so first what I do is I figure out what they've used. For example, if they were exclusive and they've used the fish voucher, you can't make any changes for that issue month. So that's easy. If you don't have the fish voucher, then you're out of luck. She's going to have to wait until the next issue month. You can't issue any formula within that same issue month. And then let's say she did not use the fish, but she used the whole grain voucher. She may be able to get formula if she's switching, to a mostly, because the mostly also gets whole grains, but if she's used that whole grain voucher, she's not going to be able to switch to a sum and get formula within that issue month. So basically the fish and the whole grain is going to be your key vouchers. If those have been used, a lot of times you're out of luck. All right, so I'm going to boggle kind of back and forth. This first case study, and this is going to be for, I'm going to actually do a couple of examples before we go into these. All right, so one example I have, and this isn't in your PowerPoint, is let's say she wants to go from a mostly, which is the W08, and then she wants to go to a sum. So maybe she was getting like 3 cans of formula, and now she needs, 9. All right, so the situation would be is like, let's say that she brings you back the first 3. All right, so all of these, she's brought these back to you. And that means that she's used the last 3. Okay? Oh, I practiced this a lot, so hopefully it works out. All right, so she's used the last 3, which I put in red. She's brought you back the 3 that are in yellow. So the question that you have is, can I not only, you're going to do the food package change, but are there vouchers that I need to void in order for me to give her formula for this issue month because she's already used some of this month's vouchers? So what I do is I figure out from what she's already used, that's what she can't already get because she's used it up. So if you'll notice down here, she's used all of the 039. So I can't obviously give her another 039. She's used it up. And then she's used all of the 040. So I can't give her anything from the 040. And then she's used a total of 2 gallons of milk from the other voucher. So I can't give her any of that milk. And she's used an extra bottle of juice. Now, the problem with that is that the mostly gets a 3rd bottle of juice that the sum doesn't, but this won't prevent you from doing a food package change. That juice won't. So it's okay, but obviously you're not going to be able to give her more juice. So even though she's brought back 1.5 gallons of milk, whole grain cereal, beans, and peanut butter, the only thing that you have left to issue her is the produce, which you can actually just let her keep it. You don't even have to void it. You can keep it. You'll void the W20 and the W02, and then you can only issue her cereal, the difference down here, cereal, and then beans or peanut butter. So she's brought you back beans and peanut butter, but on the sum, it's an either or. And there's a voucher for that. And then, can you grab your flip book for me real quick? The flip book to me is easy. If you're looking for voucher codes of single foods, the flip book to me is really easy because you can go to the back of it. You just have to be careful if you're, trying to find the produce code or something like that, that you're looking for the right quantities. But right here, this green tab in this flip book, and this is in every clinic, then you can find, I could find a voucher code for just cereal. All right? And then, so that's one scenario. So this means that if she's going from 3 cans, is what she was getting on the mostly, and she wants to go ahead and get 9, I can give her the difference of 6 cans as long as I, void and issue mom without over-issuing. So yes, she would be able to do a food package change and get formula within this same issue month. Another scenario is, let's say she wants to, and can everybody see this okay? Is it big enough? I guess I should ask that. And I did send it. Stop laughing at me. Is everybody okay so far?
We're laughing because me and Carol said, if we can see it, it's okay. And we could see it.
I'll take that as a go. All right, the next scenario that I'm going to give you is she's going from a W41, which is exclusive, and she wants to go to mostly. So she was doing no formula at all, and now she might want to do 1 or 2 cans a month to get her by. She's just wanting to supplement a little bit. The only thing that she brought you back was the W03. All right? So this is what she brings you back, which means that she's used everything else. And like I said, I don't sit here and color code this when I'm doing this in clinic. Shelly saw I have a real crappy piece of paper and I literally just cross them out. But to me, it just makes it easier this way. So what I'm going to do, same thing. She's used the produce, so I can't give her any produce. Now the exception to this, if you notice, she brought me back the fish, but she's used the whole grain. But the reason this is okay is she's going to a mostly, and the mostly has whole grain. If she was going from the exclusive to the some doesn't get a whole grain. So had she used this whole grain voucher, I automatically wouldn't even need to do any work. I can't do a food package change on her. She can't get any formula this month. She'll have to wait. You can do the food package change, but you can't give her any formula till next month. So on this one, she has used this oath. I guess I shouldn't have read that yet. Sorry. Okay. So she's used the 039 right here. She's used the produce, so I can't give her another produce. She's used the 039, and the mostly has an 039, so I can't give her that. She's used the W02, so I can't give her anything from there. I don't even have to think about it because it's the same voucher code. So what I'm looking at now is how much milk and everything else did she use. All right, she's used 2 gallons of milk, so I can't give her that. She's used 2 juices, so I can't give her that. And why are you not red? Red. She's used the other dozen of eggs, and again, the mostly only gets 1 dozen, but the exclusive gets 2. But this is another item where you can still do the change. And then she's already used her cereal. So basically what you would do, the CPA would do the food package change and everything else. You would go ahead and void out the yellow voucher, the W03, void it out. And then the only thing you would be able to give her is the 1 gallon and a half of milk and then her peanut butter. That's all you'd be able to give her. If you wanted to go ahead and give her that 1, 2, or 3 cans of formula for this issue month. All right? You want to try some? Let's do... All right. So I've got for region A, this particular example. Oh, no. Come on now. Really? Unsupported. All right, guys. Oh, no. I was doing so good this time.
We can see you, Kasey.
But can you
In
see
PowerPoint.
the...
We did until just then.
Okay, so this one will be for region A. All right, so she wants to change from a W41 to a W8. So she's going from an exclusive package. And she'd like to begin supplementing with 3 cans a month. And she's used the 039 voucher. So she brings you everything back but the 039 voucher. And I'm going to go ahead and pull up the little spreadsheet thing so we can talk it out. And this is for region A. So she's going from an exclusive to, let me get it, to a mostly. And what it said is that she brought back this voucher. This is the only one that she's brought you back. Okay? Which means that she's used the rest of these. So region A, the question is going to be, can't you do a food package change to the W8 for this issue month? Can you give her those 3 cans of formula within this issue month?
All I see right now, Kasey, is your presentation. I can't see your...
Okay.
I got a message from Susan, and she wants you to call Griffin, Epson, and Pike.
Call them out?
See, I guess if they're there.
Okay. No?
Melina.
Kasey, we are hearing Griffin.
Griffin, what about Upson?
I'm here.
No,
Kasey.
what I meant is don't forget about them because they are still a region.
Oh. Well.
Hey, what region now? We forgot. We ain't see anymore.
We don't know what region we are.
You are B.
Okay,
Right.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
We gotta get used to that.
I know. I'm not sure why it's not coming back up. I know.
We have to burn.
I didn't mean to mess you up. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Which technically you should be able to answer it without, because she only brought back the oath. Anybody in Region A?
No.
While I work with this?
No.
Isn't that the fish voucher?
The 039 is the,
No.
What's on it?
1 gallon of milk, 1 juice, and 1 eggs. Doesn't
Yeah,
it?
you can't.
We cannot change it.
It's a
it's the one
gallon.
that has a gallon of milk, juice, and eggs. There we go.
And that's it?
Okay.
So we can
So she
change
brought
it.
this one. Yeah, she brought this one back. She's used all of these. Go ahead, Milena.
Oh, no, just kidding. Sorry, that's the one she brought back. I thought that was the only one she used. So no, we can't change it.
Right, we can't change it. She's used the fish voucher, which is the main reason that we can't do it. And let's try to squeeze a couple more in. The next scenario, that's going to be for Region B, is that she's going from a W41 and she wants to switch to, that's an exclusive package. She wants to go to breastfeeding. Or some breastfeeding. It could be some or none. Okay, in this scenario, she's used her W82. So the question is going to be, can she switch to the W28?
Yes, she can.
She can. And so basically what you're doing is on this one, you can't give her 2 gallons of milk because she's already used those. You can't give her 2 of her juices. You can't give her the dozen of eggs or the cereal. So you can void the PO2, or you don't even have to void the PO2, you can just give it to her. You can void the other 3 vouchers, these right here, and then you would just go ahead and give her 2 gallons of milk, the 2 that are left over, and then she has the option of beans or peanut butter, and then you'd also be able to issue the baby formula. I think we have time for one more. So this one will be for Region D. This scenario, she wants to change from W08 to a W28, and she has used her W02 voucher. So this is the one that she's used. So will she be able to get formula within this issue month, going from a mostly to a some or none? Region D.
Nope.
Correct, because she's used the whole grain and she doesn't get any whole grains. And I'm going to push it and I'm going to try to do one more. We're going to push our luck here. Okay, last one. Again, she wants to go from mostly to some or none. She's used the W20 and she's used the O29. And any clinic that we have not heard from. So the question is going to be, can she go from the mostly to the summer none and actually get formula this month?
I thought she said yes.
Yes. Yes. And so again, because she's brought you these back, you don't even have to void them. You can just give her that O39 because she already gets it. You can just give her the O40 because she already gets it. Just let her keep it. You don't even have to void and reprint. Let her keep that produce voucher because it's the exact same amount. And then all you have to fool with is the fact that you've got to figure out the difference of these. So she's, I just said that wrong. Sorry. I'm getting nervous now. Because of the time. Okay, sorry. So of what she's already got, she's used 2.5. Oh gosh, I just totally messed that one up, guys. Kasey. Backtrack. Sorry, guys. Let's start that one over. Yes, you can do a change. She's used 2.5 gallons of milk. So you'd have to remember that, like, of this 1 gallon, you can only give her half of it, okay? Because she's used half. She's used a juice. She's used her cereal. She's used her peanut butter, which means that crosses that out because she won't be able to get both. So of the 3 that she did bring back, the W02, the O39, and the O40, the only thing she'll keep is that produce and the O39. And I'm really sorry if I just messed you up on that. And so you would be able to give her formula. Okay, so we are at 9:01, so our time has run out, and the only other thing I want to remind you is to do your Survey Monkeys, and I sent an updated sign-in sheet putting you in your correct region. So just go ahead and use that sign-in sheet, and don't forget to send it to your extra clinic. Region A, you need to include Karen. Region B, make sure you include Griffin. And Region D, make sure you include Megan. And have a happy holiday, and I'll see you guys later.
Bye, Kasey. Thank you.
Bye.
Happy holidays, ladies.
You too.